Good morning. This is the Innovation Conversation. How you doing, Tom?
I'm doing well, Kevin. How are you?
Oh, not too bad. You like my new living room? Isn't this nice?
Yeah, that's really nice.
I'm
Sure.
actually, I'm actually still, as we record this on late Tuesday, I'm still in Austin, Texas. As I mentioned in Tuesday's FaceTime, I'm attending or I have just finished attending basically it's a boot camp for people who are public speakers. It was very interesting. I learned a lot. I think the next speech I give will be better than the last one I gave, and I thought the last one was pretty good, actually.
You give a good speech.
I'm sorry?
You do give a good speech.
Thank you. But I did think one line that and it just resonated and it seemed appropriate for what we're doing today is there was somebody said at one point that a good speech isn't lecturing, and a good speaker in some sense is having a conversation with the audience, which I thought was really good. And what I try to do, but I hadn't thought of it in those terms. But then the more I thought about it, I thought to myself, well, in some ways for 21 years, Morning Newsbeat has been a conversation with the Morning Newsbeat community, and as reflected in our conversations
Absolutely.
every other week. So that was interesting. There was another great line though that came out of it, which is when patterns are broken, new paths emerge, which is a pretty good line to think about if you're thinking about innovation. So anyway,
absolutely, patterns can lull you and absolutely thwart the innovation juices.
Right.
So that's absolutely true.
And I actually think in some ways, a really good store is a conversation with the shopper, if it's done right.
Absolutely.
Now, I don't know that I don't think it's always done right. I don't even know that it's often done right. But a really good store is a conversation with the shopper that evolves and grows and things like that. So,
love it. Absolutely.
Anyway, so today is actually our last innovation conversation of the year. Unbelievable. 2022 is gone. Next time we talk, it'll be 2023. So we thought it would be great to do some predictions of things we think might happen next year. We've done this, I think, in the past. I have not kept track of how accurate we've been, but who cares? All right.
I should have thought to go back and look and see what we predicted in the past. You wonder if we're going to be predicting some of the same things again. You know, retail moves so fast.
I hope not. Anyway, but you know something, Morning Newsbeat readers remember.
I know. Well, I'm sure we'll hear about it.
Every once in a while, I express an opinion, and somebody will say, "You said this something different in 2005," and I'm going, "Well, I probably had a different opinion in 2005. How do you remember this?" Anyway, do you want to go first? Or do you want me to go first?
No, you go first. I need your lead to see where I'm going to go with mine.
So my first prediction is that the big innovations that we see from retailers in the coming year may have nothing to do with what we traditionally think of as being retailing. I'm thinking it's going to be more along the lines Walmart has involved in fintech. People are getting involved in streaming, these retail media networks, and that we're going to see a lot of retailers focusing more on creating sources of ancillary income rather than making the shopping experience better. How about that?
Well, I like that one, and I'm not going to say you stole any of my thunder, but I'm going to introduce my first one.
Okay.
And then we can kind of talk about our first ones together.
Okay, go ahead.
Because my first one was even more retail media noise, right? And that being that, we see so much noise out there about so-and-so started the retail media network and, all these technology companies that are out there supporting retail media. And, and it's all, there's definitely a burgeoning space there. But when you look at it, right now, it's, Amazon is still like 90% of the market. And you just wonder, with retailers with retail media network and retailers with these other types of revenues that you mentioned, and even Amazon with their retail media, do you lose track of the customer in that?
Absolutely I think that's a really sound observation. Your prediction was 3 words and mine was a lot more. So you could.
Well, I only did retail media though. I think you're right on with the other stuff too, because you see distraction out there now.
And I think I wouldn't be surprised if also we see some consolidation, because there's a lot of companies sort of creating separate entities And maybe we'll see some consolidation in the same way we're going to see, I think we're going to see consolidation in the streaming business, right? Paramount Plus is going to end up being bought by somebody
Right.
just because it probably doesn't have enough oomph on its own. Or I don't know about it. Maybe it's Hulu, maybe it's somebody else.
Right.
But I just think you're going to see some consolidation. So that's okay. So, okay, that was my first one.
Yep.
Okay, I'll be interested to see your reaction to this. I actually sort of referenced this tangentially on Morning Newsbeat earlier in the week. But the more I thought about it, the more I think it may come true. And I think that we're going to see research from somebody indicating that Amazon's user base, at least when it comes to its core retail business, is aging. In the same way that Facebook and Twitter's user base has aged. Like our kids don't go on Twitter or Facebook because that's where their parents and their grandparents and their aunts and uncles are, which I think is going to put even greater pressure on Amazon to figure out a way to appeal to young people. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, that would not be surprising. I mean, I know we're aging, and so we still put shopping on Amazon. But yeah, I think you're right, and I mean, Amazon's had a formula, and they've evolved that formula. But between Prime and the retail offering and all the ancillary services that you get, they've had a formula that's been pretty good for a while to a broad range of the population. But yeah, the 20 somethings now, or the teens now, is that relevant to them? It's certainly not where they're spending any time.
Right.
So are the places where they spend their digital time? Is that where you're going to see more shopping occasions? And is shopping going to evolve from those venues? It would be. I mean, it stands to reason that where your engagement is, you'll have commerce, right? But then it'll be interesting to see, like, well, where does fulfillment happen from that? And then do retailers kind of plug into those new occasions?
Or listen, I mean, there's the the old thing about Jeff Bezos said a long time ago. He was convinced that at some point Amazon would get disrupted, and so does somebody else come along with a different model, or does a model like TikTok? I'm not saying TikTok, although it was a dead giveaway this week when Amazon announced they were creating a TikTok-like experience on its site. But does somebody like TikTok come along and say, okay, we're gonna invest in commerce somehow and try and sneak in where it sees white space in terms of demographics? I don't know.
Yeah. I know it's going to be it'll be interesting to see how the various companies kind of position themselves, kind of in and around that opportunity.
And then I'll let you get to your next one.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to me that one of the things, both my first prediction and my second prediction, actually suggests that doors could be opening for smart, ambitious, aggressive, traditional retailers that want to find ways to innovate around the stuff that Amazon doesn't innovate around, and like fresh food, like things like that.
I absolutely agree with that, and especially because Amazon still has an incredible desire to innovate there,
right?
And they're struggling, right? They're struggling. I still believe long term that they do have what it takes ultimately to figure it out, but there's a ways to go for them to get there.
Okay, give me your next one.
Well, I'm biased on this one, but your comment of retailers innovating around Amazon, in ways that Amazon can't leverage today. And I have a dog in the race with auto replen, but I will tell you that we are seeing in our world, by the end of 2023, auto replenishment will be in just about every market in the U.S. Wow. And you're going to see retailers fully jumping in to the auto replen. I don't want to call it bandwagon. We're seeing, especially now in a time where shoppers are very budget conscious. When you offer a slight savings to put your regular purchases on an auto replen, shoppers are moving dozens of items on their lists over to auto replen, getting savings, placing replenishment orders every couple of weeks. You're seeing retailers saying that they're getting 20 or more %, increased value per shopper, when they move to this. And I think you're finally going to see that, you're finally going to see that really take off in 2023. Yes, I'm a little bit biased, but I think the data is really going to show that. And I think that that's going to be it's going to be an area where retailers can innovate in relatively easily and inexpensively. It is competitive with Amazon and other threats. I think it definitely answers the biggest issue that retailers, I think, are going to face in 2023, or it's an answer to the biggest issue that retailers are going to face in 23, being inflationary pressure. I think the economic pressure on households, it's bad now, and 22 was a terrible year for the increase in financial pressure on households. I think people have been hanging on through 22 because of the kind of wealth gains they've had in 20 and 21 during the pandemic. And I think 22 is going to be, or 23 is going to be a real challenge for households. And I think you're going to see, trying to stretch food dollars. I think you're going to see, a lot of trading from branded to private label products. I think you see trading formats favoring price formats. So I think you're definitely going to be seeing that in 23.
Well, and I don't have a dog on the hunt the same way you do, but since the very first time I went on Subscribe and Save on Amazon, I've been writing, about how, I didn't understand why other retailers weren't doing it. So I'm glad I'm glad.
Amazon has 38% of this year's revenue is basically pre-booked for next year because it's on subscription, right? They get over 20 million customers on subscription. A business like Chewy, right? They have 70 some odd % of their business from this year is pre-booked for next year. Yeah. I mean, why retailers wouldn't do that is crazy.
Well, and the other thing is even beyond that, unlike the technologies I was talking about in my first prediction, this is a technology that actually brings people closer to their customers, right? It brings them closer to their needs. It brings them closer to their desires. It makes them more connected to customers.
Yeah.
And whether it's auto replenishment or any other technology, it seems to be that, to go back to where we started, and when I give speeches and on a morning news beat, it's like anything that doesn't bring you closer to your customer is a distraction.
Absolutely. And if you can do something like, it might be another program than auto replenishment, but if you're doing something like auto replenishment, you're providing a new valued service to your customers, and it's proven in how they respond to it. That is another opportunity for retail media, right? If you're communicating with your customer when they update their lists, and you're communicating with them back and forth, or they're on the site discovering products, and you put recommendations in front of them, like there's all this new opportunity for retail media that you can introduce to them in the context of something that's valuable to them. So again, yes, dog in the hunt, but I think you're really gonna see that take off. And it's really, I think 2023 is going to be, a year for retailers to really, just kind of need to be scrappy. We had 20 was a big reaction, and really 21 was a big reaction to the pandemic and all the changes we had to, instill for that. And that was tough. 22, we were hanging on post that, while we had these crazy economic conditions coming on us. And I think 23 is going to be, it's a great opportunity to innovate, because customers are clamoring for just support in their lives. So if you can do something, anything, that helps them, I think you're gonna improve your relationship with them and improve their loyalty to you.
Okay. Well, I got one more. Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go?
Go.
Okay. Jeff Bezos will return.
What?
I got Howard Schultz right. I'm going with this. I just there's something about the way Amazon is communicating with the world at the moment, which suggests that there's let me think about that. Okay, here's the deal. There's a difference between a magician and a guy who knows how to do magic tricks.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right? We all know people who can do magic tricks at the dining room table. They can make pull a coin out of your ear, but they're not really magicians.
Yeah.
A magician is able to create a show out of it, is able to tell a story, is able to make things even bigger than they are when it seems necessary. And again, and I could be this is what I'm going out on a limb on, but it seems to me, if I'm going to continue that metaphor, Andy Jassy knows how to do magic tricks, right? Because he's been with the company a long time. He knows how to do magic tricks. But Jeff Bezos is a magician. And I think he's coming back.
Yeah, I mean, the company's it's facing it's just a tough environment for the company now for all the things we've talked about in this conversation so far today that they face. Any executive would be challenged to navigate a company, through this.
Absolutely.
And yeah, and I think that, they have an incredibly skilled, talented, executive team. It's as good as any out there, probably better than most any that's out there. But you're right. Yeah, there's that kind of spirit animal, of the company that Jeff is, that really could probably bring back some of that magic, some of that mystique. I think especially if you're trying to manage a stock price, and you don't really, and you never manage a company for the stock price, and even Jeff would always say that.
Right.
Stock price happens in the background. What matters is what you do for customers. You do the right thing for customers, the stock price will take care of itself. But it's just a challenging environment for that. So yeah, I mean, as if you were to say this 6 months ago, I'd be like, I don't know. But now, yeah, I mean, it's probably not out of the.
And I do think we're in an environment now where people wouldn't necessarily be shocked, in the sense that, Schultz came back to Starbucks, and then Iger goes back to Disney. So there's a certain amount of, there's a little bit of I don't know, there's something in the air.
Yeah.
And I don't know. That's my one where I'm really going out on a limb. So anyway, okay. You got one or two more?
Yeah, I'll do a limb one. I don't know if this will get me in trouble. Probably won't. Well, it's not going to get me in trouble because I don't know anything about this. But I am going to say, given the capital markets, given the economic environment that we were in, this is like a negative, a non-prediction that Instacart will not go public in 2023.
Okay.
Just because I don't think there's going to be a public market to go into in 2023, maybe later 2023. And just to spice it up, we'll say they get purchased by private equity.
Wow.
So big private equity comes in, buys them in this market, and then we'll see where they go from there. I kind of just made this one up as we were in this now, but I just think that the environment is going to be tough, and just from an overall environment, with I think just M&A and the capital markets, and obviously Scott Moses lives this, but I just think that this environment that we're in is going to create a bunch of activity, I think, in 2023, and then in anything that would involve a capital market, would involve a public capital market, I think is going to be tough.
Well, of course, but you said you just made it up. Isn't that the very nature of a prediction?
Yeah.
It's unlike your second prediction, where you have a little inside information.
No, I have insight on that one. Yeah, no insight on this. I had written down Instacart will not go public, but I'm like, well, that's kind of a boring, prediction, because the capital markets are going to stink, and they certainly can keep going on as a company. Assuming they have enough cash and capital to go do what they want to do. Yeah. But it seems like it might be pretty interesting if big PE comes in and takes them out. We'll see.
Interesting. Well, listen, Happy New Year. Happy holidays.
Same to you, Kevin. Same to everyone out there.
And I hope you have a great one, and I will see you in 2023.
Happy New Year. Look forward to seeing everyone in 2023.
Take care. See ya.